Hi there and welcome to your yoga class. Today we are doing chakra yoga, specifically our root chakra, right down at the base of our spine. So it's called Muladhara chakra, all about grounding yourself and feeling safe and secure, and all the poses we do today will be in relation to that. So we're going to start down in Shavasana. Take up the space on the floor that you need to. We're going to be here for a few breaths at least. And just relax. Press your shoulders into the floor, the heels of your feet into the floor, and really feel connected to the ground. So our root chakra, as I say, it's at the base of your spine, and it's all about feeling connected to the physical things in your life as well. Closely associated with the element of earth and all the grounding aspects of life, like the basics of food and shelter and things like that. If sometimes we feel, or always feel, if we're out of control and insecure and caught up in money matters and things, it's maybe your Muladhara chakra that is out of balance. So this is what we're going to try and do today, is balance this particular chakra up a little bit with lots of grounded poses and forward bends, and focusing on the legs and the pelvis as well. So just establish your breathing, make it nice and long and slow. Really feel safe and secure on the floor. Just feeling your breath, setting your intention for the practice, and just relaxing. So just starting to think about moving and wriggling the toes, the feet, just coming up nice and slowly with your feet there, and bring your knees into your chest. And while we're doing this, you can give your feet a little wriggle, but really feel your back pressing into the floor. You can rock side to side if you want, and feel those shoulders pressing in. Imagine your back has got four corners, all pressing into the floor, all helping you feel a little bit more grounded and safe. So popping the right foot back on the ground, lift that left leg up to the ceiling and just hold on to it wherever's available, back of the thigh, back of the calf. Now the leg doesn't need to be completely straight, but do push through your heel. And then we're just going to point and flex the toe. Point and flex whilst you're stretching the back of that leg. Feeling the hamstrings and the calves working, and on the top of the shin as well. So bringing it back down, let's do the other leg. As I say, hold on to it. That leg does not need to be completely straight, but do point the heel up towards the ceiling and pointing and flexing that toe again. And a lot of our practice today will be about stillness and rooting down through the floor. So that will be a lot of postures that require some stillness, for example, tree pose and mountain pose, and all the others as well. So let's come into bridge pose now, feet hip width apart, pushing your shoulders into the floor, lifting your pelvis up. Really keeping those big toes on the floor, don't let your knees flop out as well, and try and relax your shoulders while you're pushing them into the floor as well. Pushing their hands into the floor and feeling the glutes activating. So gently coming back down again. We are going to gently sit up, however's easiest for you, and we're going to do a butterfly pose now. So the soles of your feet together, just adjust the length in between the heels and the bottom as you need to. And we're going to do a passive butterfly. So that means the top of the hands on the floor, and let your head just come over, nice curved spine. Feel your seat bones grounding into the floor, and just let your head do the work of pulling you down ever so gently. Just here for a couple of breaths. So just gently focusing on your breathing again. And then a couple more breaths, and then coming up to a seated position. Using your hands to push you up as well. And we're going to come into Dandasana, staff pose. So legs out straight in front of you and point those toes up towards the ceiling. Shoulders nice and relaxed. Feel your heels and your seat bones forming that square, well, when I say square, rectangular shape. The four corners really are what we're looking for here to help feel more grounded. Relax the shoulders, rolling the thighs in the way, and hands are just resting by your side. And again, in line with that four corner, stable and secure idea, we're going to come into a reverse tabletop. So just walk your hands back a little bit, feet on the floor, and push that bottom up towards the ceiling. It doesn't need to come right up, even if it's coming up, as long as you're pressing your hands and feet into the floor. That's the main thing. So just lowering the bottom back down. You're going to cross our legs over, and then we're going to come up to a kneeling position. And if you can, tuck those toes in again. We are going to bring our hands up to the side in a sort of cactus arms position. So elbows down and out, and looking up, really opening the chest, bending into the back if you want to. Then from there, eagle arms. So right hand under left, binding once or twice, and then curling over. Okay, coming back up again, back into that angel arms pose, and then this time the other arm comes underneath and fold forward again. Feeling the nice stretch in your spine. Back to angel arms as well, and then untucking the toes. That should feel quite nice after that. And then an ankle stretch. So just putting your hands behind you, stretching the thighs and the ankles, and you can lift the knees up as well if you want an even deeper stretch on your ankles as well. So this time coming into tabletop, and again just taking over, still working in those four corners, rooting into the earth, feeling a little bit more grounded with every pose that we're doing here. So let's pop our left leg back here and get that nice calf stretch on the left, pushing back with your heel, keeping everything nice and equal. And we're going to come into a side plank now. So resting on your right hand, come on to the inside edge of the left foot, into your side plank, bringing the left shoulder back. And if you want to, you can lift up that left leg as well. Up to you, completely optional. So bringing the leg back down again, if you have had it up. And when you bring it back down, just put that upper hand alongside your ear for a super duper big side stretch. And we're going to do it on the other side. So right foot pushes back, heel pushes back. Keep that core engaged while you're doing that. Then turn to the side, onto side plank. So you're really rooting down through the left hand, leaning on it. The right shoulder's coming back, and again you can lift that knee leg up again if you would like to, just an option. But after you bring it back down, then having that lovely big side stretch again. So bringing the bicep alongside the ear at the top, really. It should feel pretty nice. So coming back onto all fours, we're going to come up into a downward dog. So bring the tailbone up, high, high, high. Hands and feet on the floor as our four corners. And just pushing up into that tailbone. Pushing the heels towards the floor. They don't need to be on the floor though, and you might be pedaling your feet as well just to loosen off. Keep your breathing nice and steady. Pausing here just for a second or two, and then we're going to walk up to our hands and come into a Ragdoll Pose. Okay, so feet hip width apart. Have a little bend in the knees as well. And hold on to the inside of the arms. Have a wee wave about if you like. You're stretching the entire back here and letting go of the torso. bringing blood to the head. And it's good to do this if you feel a little bit dizzy as well. And just pausing there for a minute before popping your hands on the floor, bending into your knees a bit more and straightening up just vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming to the front of your mat and standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. So relaxing the shoulders, feeling the feet nice and firm on the floor. Hands by your sides, possibly facing forward a little bit. We're going to do 3 sets of sun salutations now. Now, if you want to, an option here is to keep your eyes shut for these, to force you to sort of turn, internally a little bit. It's up to you, you don't have to. But we're going to raise our hands up, palms together. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees if you need to. Inhale, come up to a nice straight back. Exhale, palms are on the floor, and let's step back to plank pose. And we're going to lower down to the floor. You can pause and chaturanga if you want. And come up to cobra. Nice relaxed shoulders. Then we're going to tuck the toes and come up to downward dog. You can come up to tabletop first if you need to as well. Pause here for 1 full round of breath. And then, especially if you've got your eyes shut, just walking or stepping to the front of the mat. And it's nice just to experience what it's like with your eyes closed as well. So up in your fingertips, extending the spine again. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, hands right up, palms together. Exhale, back to the beginning. Let's go again. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees if you need to. Inhale, nice straight back. Exhale, plant the hands and step back to plank pose. And let's lower down. You can always put the knees down here as well. Pause if you would like to and come to up dog or cobra. Up to you. Tucking the toes. Downward dog. Lift the tailbone up. Pedal it out if you need to. We're here for 1 round of breath before we're going to step or walk forward again. Up to the top of the mat, and we're going to do our last one. So do the last one on your own here. Just doing your last forward fold here. This one. Inhale, hands up, and then come back to the beginning. So do it on your own. I'll keep quiet, just so that you can focus on what's going inside a little bit more. And coming back to mountain pose. Hopefully that's built the heat up a little bit for you. So let's raise our hands up again, and we're going to come into a forward fold this time. And plant your feet and step straight back to downward dog. Okay, so you might be feeling a little bit more loosened up by now as well. But we're going to take the left leg up into the air and bend the knee. Try and lift that knee as much as it will come up. Then straightening the leg back up again, squaring it off, keeping your hips the same at all times, and then bringing it forward to between your feet at the front. And it might not get there in first go, that's fine. You can just lift it and bring it forward. So when you bring it forward, you're then going to stand on that leg and bring the right leg up into standing splits. Now, it's not about how far forward you fold in this one. It's about the work that the left leg is doing here, grounding into the floor. So of course lift your foot as much as it will go on the right, but really feel, don't scrunch your toes into the mat, just feeling that left leg really working into the floor. Now feet together now and coming up to chair pose, Utkatasana, hips and knees back the way, watch they're not in front of your toes. You can look up or look straight ahead. We're going to have a wee twist, so palms together and hook that right elbow over the left knee. Lovely big twist. The legs haven't moved, still in the normal chair position. And then from here, we're going to come up to a tree pose. So you can stay in the same position. I'll turn to face you just so that you can see. So chair pose first before pushing into your feet. And then you're going to lean on that left leg. Bring the right foot up to wherever it comes up to. It might come right up, or it might just come up to the calf, or even on top of the foot. But remember, wobbling's fine. Really root down through that left foot. And you can close your eyes as well if you want to. That will really, really challenge your balance. Hands together in Anjali Mudra. Or if you want to, an option is to grow your branches. Bring your branches up and focus on a spot on the floor in front of you to really try and help the concentration. Standing still and strong, as if your feet is the roots of the tree going into the ground. So coming from there, we're going to come into Malasana now, a Yogi Squat. So hands in Anjali Mudra, feet just widen, hip width apart, and drop that tailbone. Have a bit of a wiggle, get comfortable. Elbows against the knees and knees against the elbows. Turn to the side so you can see me a little bit better, because what we're going to do is come onto your bottom straight into Navasana. Okay, boat pose. So chest is up. Your legs may be straight or they may be bent. It doesn't matter. As long as your chest is up, 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 you can be holding on to the back of your thighs as well. And from here, hands and feet onto the floor. Come up to that reverse tabletop we did before. Pushing the bottom up towards the ceiling. And then lowering back down. Try to not let your bottom touch the floor until it's right, your legs are straight. And come into Dandasana again. Nice straight back. Relax shoulders, and we're going to come into a nice forward fold. So let's really lengthen the spine and forward fold. Put your hands where they're going to go. So it's chest to thighs. Remember, don't just tuck your head to touch your knees. Chest to thighs. Coming back up, we're going to have a vinyasa, or you can go straight to downward dog. So if you're vinyasing, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, or cobra, then up to downward dog. But you're certainly welcome to just stay in your downward dog, have a bit of a rest if you want. And we just need to do that all on the other side. So this time it's your right foot coming up, three-legged dog, and bend your knee. Straighten the leg off. It's going to come between your hands again, remember. So bring it right through onto the floor between your hands, and you're going to be leaning in that leg, remember. So really put a bit of oomph into it. Hands a bit forward, coming up into standing splits. Remember, the work is in the right foot here. Feel nice and strong all the way up your leg. And from standing splits, we're going to come into chair position. So bringing your big toes together. And this really helps you develop a sense of the core, this position. So remember, hips and knees are back. And this definitely helps you develop a great connection to the earth. And then let's do that twist. This time you're hooking your left elbow over your right thigh. And just pausing here. Then we're going to come up to chair pose just quickly again before coming into Vrksasana, tree pose. A quintessential grounding pose, this one. So this, the one time you're leaning on your right leg, rooted into the ground, solid in your torso. And you can be really nice and expansive if you decide to put your hands up as well. But the root chakra is really important because it supports the solidity in your core and allows the upper chakras, the other ones in our body, to be nice and free as well. So remember that focused gaze. And remember, your leg doesn't need to be right up. It can be, the heel can be over the other foot. Your foot can be in your calf, or it can be right up. Always options. So coming back down again, we're going to put our foot back in the floor just in a second, and we're going to come into our Yogi Squat Malasana again. So last couple of breaths. So gently putting your foot down, feet just wider than hips, toes turning out, coming into that Malasana again. I'll show you from the front and the side. because remember we're coming into Navasana after this. So if your heels don't reach the floor, that's fine. You can put a wee blanket underneath there, but try and keep your back nice and straight, and then you're just going to let the weight come into your bottom straight up into Navasana. Okay, straight legs if you want to, shins parallel to the ground if you want to, and then from here you're going to be putting the hands and feet on the floor and coming up into reverse tabletop. That's it. Remember, it doesn't matter how far your bottom comes up. Bottom comes down, we come into Dandasana, staff pose. Remember, try and get that bottom back without touching the floor. And just pause there for a second before let's have another nice forward fold. So you can stretch your arms up as well and bring them forward. It's up to you, you don't have to involve the arms. And you can bend your knees as well if you want to. So let's have a vinyasa or just go to downward dog. Plank pose, chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, tucking the toes and coming up to downward dog. So we all meet back in downward dog, having a breath or so there and walking up to Ragdoll Pose. Again, a really nice one for centering, grounding, releasing all the upper chakras as well, and it's really nice and calming for the nervous system, this one. So hands to the floor, bend the knees a little bit more and slowly rolling up. So we're going to come into a chair pose again, but this time let's see if you can lift your heels off the floor. Okay, you can stay in normal chair pose if you want, or try and lift your heels off the floor. It's really different. Wobbling's fine, remember. Wobbling is absolutely fine. It can be quite challenging, this one. Lovely. Pushing into the floor again, we're going to come into dancer pose. So leaning on that left foot, hold it outside of the right foot. And you can just stand with the leg up if you want, or you can lean forward. And it's not so much about how much of a back bend we can do, but of how much you are pushing that foot into your hand at the back, and of how much you're rooting into the ground with the other one. So coming back down into your chair pose again, and then we'll do the other side. So this time we're holding up the left foot, push that foot back into the hand, really get steady on the other leg and focus on the floor in front of you. Doing these standing balances really does force you to focus, which is nice. It takes your mind off maybe all the other things that are going on as well. And then we're going to come into a lovely yogi squat again, feet hip, just widen hip width apart, and then squatting down. And you can have a wee variation here. You can stay in Malasana if you want to, just so as we have before, or you can move your feet in a little bit if you want to, just sort of shuffling them in as much as you can, or just even a little bit, and taking your hands and sort of wrapping them round the back of your legs like that. That's it. Just an option. So just letting yourself kind of plop onto your bottom really nice and gently from there. We're going to come into butterfly again, and that nice passive version of it. So top of the hands on the floor, adjust your feet as you see fit, and really curving over. It doesn't matter how much your head comes down, how far forward your hands are. It's about feeling grounded through your seat bones, feeling the weight. So let's come into a deer pose now. So what you're going to do is take your right foot and have that sort of parallel with the front of the mat, and your left shin is parallel to the side of the mat. So right shin is forward, left shin is to the side. Now make sure that left hip is back as well. So you're going to lean back You can lean back on your hand, you can lean back on your elbows, or you can go right back. And what this is a really nice quad stretch. Try and keep those hips nice and even. You'll feel a nice hip flexor stretch as well. But only come back as far as you want to. And let's do the other side. So left shin parallel to the front of the mat, right shin parallel to the side of the mat. That's it. Now watch that right hip, make sure it's not coming too much forward, really make an effort to sort of square it off and lean back to whatever position suits you. So just coming up, you can have a wee windscreen wiper of your legs there just to release everything after that. And we're going to do another forward fold. Your forward folds are really good for centering and grounding yourself and feeling a wee bit more connected. We're going to do a passive one this time, so just let your feet relax, let your legs relax. And then you're going to do, just like we did with the butterfly, curve your spine over, top of the hands on the mat. And it's really nice to put your top of the hands on the mat because then you're not really bracing, you're not gripping, it's just a bit more passive for you. So a bit of a different way to do the forward fold, but maybe a bit easier to relax into because you're not straining to do it. You're only going as far as your body will let you. So we're going to be here for about 10 full breaths, just over a minute. So do get comfortable here, don't push it too much, and just relax the next few breaths. So starting to think about coming up now. Coming back up to sitting. And then let's come down onto our back and do another bridge pose. So put your feet on the mat. Nice big inhale. Exhale, push up with your bottom. Press those feet into the floor. Press the shoulders and the hands into the floor as well. Pushing up. And then coming down, bring your knees in again. And this sort of, you can have a wee windscreen wiper first if you want to, always optional, but bringing your knees in into sort of the upside down child's pose, because we do this sometimes on our knees, don't we? So just starting to bring the knees in. Have a wee rock side to side if that is what suits you. Hugging the knees in as much as you can. You can be holding on to the back of the thighs as well. And then finally coming into our Shavasana, the ultimate grounding pose. So we'll take up a lot of room, legs are apart, top of the hands are on the floor. And really all your practices should end in a Shavasana, but it's especially true for our root chakra, or Muladhara. You're just completely surrendering into the gravity and the stillness, feeling the earth, and just feeling pretty solid in the ground. You're not going anywhere, are you? You're feeling pretty solid and secure. And just breathing, letting it all go just for a few minutes and relaxing with every single exhale that you take. So starting to think about coming back into the room, wiggling your fingers and toes, and just inviting the movement back, and maybe having a big stretch as well, and bending the knees. It's all personal. And rolling onto your side though before you come up. Don't just sit straight up. And having a nice big push up to a sitting position. Sitting with your legs crossed, and just let's pop our hands in Anjali Mudra, prayer position, and just sit for a minute with our eyes closed, feeling connected to the earth, feeling nice and grounded and nice and relaxed as well, and maybe a bit more balanced than we were a short while ago. And we are going to finish with a namaste just after a little moment of stillness here. Thank you so much for joining me again in your practice. So bringing your hands up, bowing forward and saying namaste. Thanks so much. I really hope you enjoyed this practice. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe too, because you'll get all the new uploads as well. And I'll see you again next time. See you later.